You know what's bullshit? When sometimes people call you and they want to talk to you directly, but instead they have to deal with the answering machine. Well, sometimes they're gonna wait until after the beep before they hang up. So when I get around to taking my messages, well, I gotta compose the number for the answering machine, enter the password and everything, wait until the voice starts talking, then I can take my message, and all I hear is the phone hanging up. So congratulations, you just wasted your own time listening to the message before the beep, and you wasted my time by forcing me to take my messages, and all I hear is a phone hanging up. That's bullshit. Okay, so as you can imagine, this complaint is related to the phone call I got smack dab in the middle of the last video. But enough of my cell phone woes for now, so let's move on to something else. As you can probably guess, I'm checking the Poké Art between each part so that I know exactly where to go. This would obviously be a lot harder if I didn't have the maps on the Poké Art to help me. And now to move on to something else. You know, in my little April Fool's video, you probably understood a few things, most notably the names of Pokemons and attacks. Maybe if you're slightly fluent in French, some other things as well. But I just wanted you to know that, well, I've probably already talked to you about this, but there are French names for Pokemon and attacks and other things. Personally, I don't ever use them. And I don't think anyone in Quebec does. All we use is the English names, because the games in Quebec, they're only in English. There's no French option or anything like that. I think I've only played 2 games where there was a French option, and that was Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3. The rest, nope, it's only in English. Now, the instruction manuals are written in 3 languages nowadays, English, French, and Spanish, but never any French or Spanish in the actual games themselves. But I was talking about the French names for Pokemon and attacks. They're not used in Quebec, but they're used in France and Belgium and other European countries that speak French, and possibly other French-speaking countries around the world. I can't really, there's no way I can know, but the French names are most definitely used in Europe. So if anyone who speaks French from Europe stumbled upon my April Fool's video, well, he's gonna ask himself a lot of questions like, what the hell am I talking about? And not just that, there's my blatant Quebec accent, there's also, well, Quebec expressions that aren't used in Europe. Personally, I think in Quebec we're much closer to being French-speaking Americans than we are to being French people living in North America. Oh, okay, I gotta admit, every time I pick up an item, I'm always fearing that I'm gonna run out of space in my bag. And yeah, I did make some space in my bag before entering this place. I deposited all my Great and Pokeballs in the PC, and I'm really hoping I'm not running out of place in my bag soon. Now, as there's something else I wanted to talk about. I've been linked to an interview from some people who were working on the Pokemon games, and there are 2 things that I noticed that I wanted to talk about. First thing would be that they mentioned that they had a staff tournament, a little tournament between the staff members, and apparently the guys making the actual battle system were much better at the game than the others, because, well, said others were most likely picking their favorites, whereas those who designed the battle system, well, they knew what was strong and what was not. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about that article is linked to that tournament. It's that one of the people interviewed said that one Pokemon that was really hard to deal with in that tournament, allegedly, was Bronzong. Now, whether this was one of the things that led eventually to the nerf of Hypnosis back to 60 accuracy, well, it's open for debate, especially since those who were hit by Hypnosis's loss of accuracy also had other things that contributed to lower their use. I'm thinking of, in Gengar's and Spiritom's case, Rotom got a lot better and it doesn't need to rely on Hypnosis. But yeah, the two may not be linked, but I've always felt that the game designers were thinking really highly of Bronzong to begin with, because, as I've said before, they gave Bronzers to Byron, Mars, and Jupiter, and we're talking about late battles there, and you're still, and very important battles too, and you're still encountering a Pokemon like Bronzer who can take hits rather well for a Pokemon that has yet to evolve, but it cannot attack worth shit at all, so you're under not much of a threat fighting a Bronzer. Now, something that can contradict this is the fact that they put wild Bronzongs in Mount Coronet. If they thought so highly of Bronzong, why did they put wild versions of it? Well, honestly, I don't know, but the fact that they were so reluctant, and in fact they did not put Bronzong in those major battles, and then the game designers coming out and saying that they really think Bronzong is hard to deal with, well, it all makes me think that they tend to blatantly overrate certain Pokemon, and Bronzong is one of them. Now a random thought, I wonder how those people dealt with Garchomp in their tournament. Well, was it used at all? Did they know how devastating Garchomp can be? Honestly, I seriously doubt that they know it's banned in most serious battles among the community, but had they used it and used it properly, like with a Yache Berry, since it ensures that nothing but a Abomasnow and Glaceon can knock it out in one hit, and those two can be knocked out by other means long before they can fire off their ice moves. So if they used it properly, well, they would have known that that thing was simply too strong. Now, I'll be honest, before the metagame actually developed, the thing that I thought this about was Tyranitar, because of the whole Sandstorm boosting special defense thing, which put Tyranitar's apparent base stat total, well, it's skyrocketed into Uber territory, and it's still not Uber despite that, so that wasn't quite enough. But yeah, that was just a random tangent I went on. The second thing I wanted to mention about that interview was that apparently they have lots of ideas for coming generations. I don't know if they're gonna be able to top the whole time and space thing, the Pokegod thing, but maybe that's not their intention at all. So what kind of story could you make with what's left? Life and death? Well, fair enough, but there's just one problem. Life is already represented by who, but for death, there's absolutely nothing. Lugia, of course not, it has nothing to do with death. So they can hardly create a new combination of legendaries using one that already exists and a brand new one. Though they might be able to use some loophole, because time and space seem somewhat impossible since Celebi is able to travel through time, but then again, Dialga doesn't exactly do the same thing, it governs time, so maybe they could do the same thing with life, I don't know, though. Who has revived the legendary beasts, or dogs, or whatever you want to call them, so I don't think there's as much room for a loophole to occur. Alright, time for another break.
Sorry we cannot take your call. We're not at home now. We would have answered the phone, but clearly we're not at home. And your call's an important one. We'll get back to you to make sure that we do. Leave a message so we know you called. Leave a message. Come on, leave a message. Sorry, calling at the door.
Mentos, their message taker.